So, I went to go see Pacific Rim. It's directed and co-written by Guillermo del Toro, the man behind Pan's Labyrinth and the Hellboy movies, and it stars Charlie Hunnam and Rinko Kikuchi. There's also Idris Elba in there, and a bit of a cameo from Ron Perlman, because near as I can figure, it's not quite a Guillermo del Toro movie without Ron Perlman. And you know what? I got another poster. Check it out. Yeah, pretty cool poster, yeah? So, Pacific Rim is one of those opening narration set to montage movies, and so here they do the whole backstory in like 5 minutes. Charlie Hunnam is doing the voiceover, and he explains that, you know, this rift opened up at the bottom of the Pacific and it's spitting out these gigantic monsters at the rate of like one every couple of weeks, pretty much. And, you know, they're just, it takes days for, you know, tanks and planes and stuff like that to beat them down. And so humanity sort of banded together, and in the first like 14 months they managed to design and develop these giant robots to fight them that they call Jaegers. And and you know, the pilots, there have to be 2 of them because they have this mind, like human brain machine interface thing that they've developed, and it puts too much strain on the brain when it's just one person. It basically melts their brain, and so they have to split the load between 2 folks. And so there's your suspension of disbelief there. I mean, you're already dealing with giant monsters and robots, so that makes as much sense, right? It works. And so, you know, it's 7 years later. The pilots are sort of the new super, you know, the super movie stars. You know, everyone loves them. They you know, they have fans, and you know, everything's great, except the Jaegers are getting a little bit bigger, and so it's like 7 years into this war that things go wrong, and the first just devastating loss happens, where Charlie Hunnam and his brother are the pilots, and horrible things go wrong, and so he ends up basically quitting the program, and then cut to 5 years later, where things have just been going downhill ever since. The giant monsters, the kaiju, have been getting bigger and bigger, and they've just been destroying the Jaegers and killing pilots, and just things have not been going well. So the governments of the world have been developing this gigantic wall along the coastline that's designed to keep out the kaiju, and they're shutting off funding to the Jaeger program, and Idris Elba, he's the head of the program, and he's not happy with that because he has a plan to sort of shut down the rift and save the world once and for all, kind of thing. But they're not going for it. The governments aren't going for it, and they shut everything down. And there's like 8 months left of funding while they finish building the walls, and then that's it. So Idris Elba, you know, sort of tracks down Charlie Hunnam's character. He's you know, sort of fallen to work in construction, and he sort of brings him back to this one final mission. There's only, you know, 4 Jaegers left, and it's the end of the world, sort of Hail Mary kind of pass, and the monsters are sort of coming faster and faster, and they predict, you know, soon 2 will come out at a time, and, you know, yada yada. It's pretty much sort of standard action movie plot from there. You know, Charlie Hunnam's character pairs up with Rinko Kikuchi's character, who's sort of brilliant, but you know, good fighter, and she's a rookie, and you know, there's Idris Elba's character doesn't want them to be paired together. You know, it's kind of standard from then on. Yeah, so downsides first here. Okay, one, Charlie Hunnam's character. The character's well written enough, and Charlie Hunnam is adequate. That's the downside. He's adequate. He's not best actor ever, but he's not bad. You know, and he worked in the movie. It was, you know, and it worked for an action movie. He's not going to win any Academy Awards or anything like that, but he's not going to win any Razzies either. It wasn't a bad performance. It just was average. But you know, he looked the part well, and he had a decent enough chemistry with Rinko Kikuchi, so that sort of, you know, attraction subplot sort of thing worked. But yeah, the other downside is there are these two scientists, and they basically are trying to see who's the most over-the-top, crazy stereotype scientist out of the two of them, and they keep on apparently trying to one-up each other. It's a little cheesy. It didn't ruin anything for me. You know, they're both sort of it's kind of the B plot of the film. You know, but and it's not bad. It's just sort of the comic relief characters, and I don't know that the movie really needed the comic relief aspect, especially since like one of the two is like the mathematician, and he's like, I studied at Oxford, stuck up, you know, he has a cane, and he's just really stereotype, just terrifying, sort of snobbish nerd mathematician stereotype, if you can imagine that. The other guy is a little bit more, he's the sort of kind of kooky, crazy scientist type, you know, a little bit out of touch. He's not quite so bad, but he's still kind of bad. And that's, honestly, that's it for the negatives. Really, that's all I got for anything bad in this movie. This is the action movie that I've been wanting to see for a long time. It was fantastic. Bloody brilliant fun. I can't recommend it enough. If you like action movies, go see it. If you like, if the idea of giant monsters versus giant robots sounds in any way remotely appealing to you, go see it now. Like, stop what you're doing, go out, go see this movie. It was a load of fun. And this is what happens when you get a director who's good, a really good, visually focused director to do a crazy, over-the-top action movie. Guillermo del Toro, his movies have always sort of been kind of take 'em or leave 'em a little bit. Like, for every Pan's Labyrinth, there's a Mimic, which, not the best film. Not bad, but just kind of mediocre. But the one theme that runs consistently throughout all of his films that I've ever been able to see is his visual style. He focuses a lot on practical effects and the look of things, and things always look good. They're framed well, they're shot well, the monsters and the special, it looks good, and that carries through here. Everything has a sort of, it looks like it could exist a little, you know, for what I'm saying, like it looks like everything serves a purpose. It looks impressive. They did enough practical effects with they actually built whole sets for the insides of these the robot suits, and so it had a more realistic feel to a lot of the action scenes, because, you know, it was a lot of, you know, see the giant robot fighting, but then cut to sort of reaction shots inside as they get banged around and things like that. And that's all in an actual set. You know, there's a scene where like water floods into one of them, and it's actually the actors in the set getting blasted with water, and not like cheap CGI stuff. And that really adds a lot to the movie. And the action scenes, even the CGI action scenes, admittedly, the CGI action scenes are shot, they're pretty much all at night, in the rain or underwater, things like that, and that is there so you can kind of not see some of the seams in the CGI. But the trade-off for that is you actually get to follow, you can see them. You actually see the fights. It's something that you can follow, which is more than what happens with you know, live action scenes a lot of times now. A lot of those are sort of shot so quickly and so shakily that you can't follow them. But here, it's a nice sort of steady camera, like well framed in these action scenes, and you can follow what's going along, and you can sort of, you know, you feel the punches, and things, you know, have the. It feels like they have weight to them. You know, you see them connect. It's viscerally satisfying as far as action scenes go. There are a couple times where the action gets a little muddled, where the sort of camera pulls up close, and it's a little bit hard to follow. But those are usually sort of the scenes where They get knocked to the ground or pushed through a skyscraper or something along those lines where, things are going flying everywhere and there's glass and there's okay, but the rest of the scenes, they're impressive, they're visually cool. Like there's a scene later on where a big explosion goes off underwater, like gigantic, and it actually knocks away the water, and so you see the fish falling to the floor, and then you see the sort of water rush back in to cover it. It's a really cool scene. It's just visually impressive. Go see the movie. It was a lot of fun. I walked out of the movie giddy. This is not something that happens to me very often. It's fantastic. There's a scene after, not after the credits, there's nothing after the credits, but there's a scene sort of in the middle of the credits with Ron Perlman's character, so be sure to stick around for that. But other than that, yeah, go see this movie. It's not a perfect movie by any chance, but it's one of the better action movies I've seen in a long time, especially with this recent spate of, the White House Down and As Olympus Has Fallen, and even the G.I. Joe movie, which I thought was fun, but none of them hold a candle to this one. It's a better action movie than Iron Man 3. It's maybe not a better movie, because it doesn't hold up necessarily plot and acting wise, but it's a more fun action film. And I'm not one of the people who I'm not one of those people who says, what did you expect, Shakespeare? Or, hey, it's a giant, it's a movie about robots fighting aliens, what do you want? No, I like plot, and I like character development, and I like acting, and these things are important to me. And while none of them are really the highlight of this film, they are all there. They are all done decently. So yeah, this movie gets wholeheartedly recommended by me. So if you see it, enjoy. If you don't see it, why? And in either case, let me know, because if you think I'm full of it and you think the action was horrible, let me know. If you can come with an example of a better recent action movie, please let me hear it. All right. So until then, guys, later.